If the drums are pounding, the bass is booming, the guitars are raunchy and rough, and the vocalist is screeching, that's heavy metal.
Heavy metal is more than just music. It's a lifestyle, it's a culture.
Metal is an attitude. Heavy metal is a way of life, man.
Heavy metal is an underdog, and rock and roll is the establishment.
You want to be true, you want to be hard, you want to be real, you know?
Not letting people down, giving it all you can.
It's a sort of hairs on arm raising moment when you first hear that sound.
It just speaks to everyone at some point in their life.
Hits you right between the eyes.
It's just that fix, it's like a drug. It's the friend of the friendless, you know what I mean? It's the music for people who don't think they're understood by what everyone else seems to be listening to.
It's honest, very honest music.
Who the fuck knows?
I've met loads of people that say they like all music apart from metal, but beyond that point, you don't need to have a conversation with them, I don't think.
It's a soundtrack to our lives.
All the leaves are brown, and the sky is gray, and the sky is gray.
I never thought if metal was a reaction to flower power and the hippies and what have you, but I think there had to be some of that in there. You had the Woodstock Nation, and there were people like me who were scratching our heads going, I don't really want to listen to this Crosby, Stills and Nash crap. But everybody else was like, oh yeah, you know, everything's beautiful. Then Grand Funk Railroad.
Grand Funk started out as an American kind of answer to Cream, like a heavy metal trio. Over the years, through that late 60s, early 70s, they got more and more versatile and spread out and added, you know, more of the keyboard sound, and they weren't just a kind of metal trio, they were melodic.
Grand Funk Railroad, no, massive over here at the time. It was like 22,000 people a night. That was the first big gig that we did. It was the Forum in Los Angeles. It was like, we did 2 nights supporting Grand Funk, and we'd gone from like playing the Whiskey to like 500 people, whatever it was. So like in front of 22,000 people, so that was a bit nerve-wracking. The 60s and 70s probably was the best period in the history of music. Everyone's mind was opening up to more stuff. There wasn't any boundaries, you know.
I just wanted peace and love for everybody, and let's get high and listen to Jimi Hendrix, you know.
When Hendrix came around, that was definitely the kickstart of a whole string of other bands that started to become a little bit more progressive.
Well, Hendrix definitely pushed it forward and backward and inside out, upside down. And he scared the life out of like the rock community, because he figured out how to overdrive his amp even more and how to push the sound like a little further.
Suddenly there's this new sound that's very exciting and gets taken up by virtually everybody as being that now this is how you play the guitar, and it sort of opened up a route to playing a much more aggressive kind of music.
Nobody gonna take my car, we're gonna race it to the ground. Nobody gonna beat my car, we're gonna break the speeding sound. Oh, it's a killer machine, it got everything. Like a driving car, big fat tires and everything. I love it, and I mean it, I feel it.
And suddenly, there were a group of us who were starting to gravitate exclusively to this music, whatever it was. Deep Purple, had the attitude the edge that we were looking for, and fuck the rest of that shit.
I suppose we sort of spawned it with part of what we did, and I think the next generation of players took the heavier facet of what we were doing and isolated that and made it their direction.
Yeah, to turn me on, all right, all the time.
Things get harder and nastier, and I think that's what sort of happened. That's how metal got born.
The British rock invasion of the 60s created what was to be a very, very loud guitar sound, more and more amounts of distortion as the years went on. And Led Zeppelin being the other very, very important band from that era that just, they are the godfathers of heavy metal.
I mean, Led Zeppelin is supposed to be the first metal band. Did the term exist before Led Zeppelin? I have a feeling the term was named after them because lead is a heavy metal.
Somebody turned me on to Zeppelin, and that pretty much sealed the deal for me, you know, as far as introducing me to that kind of hard rock.
Bands like Led Zeppelin, they're more important, I think, to the craft than the metal bands are. You know, if you go back and you go down to the bare bones of actual songwriting.
Led Zeppelin, to me, like, which was for us great influence also, you know, because they had the hard rock side, but they also played beautiful ballads.
In many ways, yes, the term heavy metal came later than the bands that are associated with it.
The original bands that were supposedly heavier than 100-ton weight landing on your cranium, if you listen to them now, it's not what we would consider heavy.
The first proper heavy metal band that we had was Black Sabbath.
They were the first band that looked like they were going to kill you, that looked like Satan worshippers, that wrote songs about really heavy subjects and had the music to go along with it. They just sounded 10 times heavier and doomier and more evil than any other band.
There wasn't really anything else around at the time. I mean, we really like Cream, Hendrix, and you know, that kind of thing. When you like something, you don't want to sound exactly like that, but you like to continue in that kind of vein, and that's what we did. We sort of took it one step further in the heavy department.
Sang about, you know, the satanic side of things. At the time when it came out, I guess a lot of people thought that was kind of like the soundtrack to the end of the world because there was so much doom and gloom.
We had a minimal budget, about I think 500 quid to do the first album, so we couldn't afford new strings. I had 3 speakers that worked in my 4x12 cabinet. So all the equipment that we had was like all on the blink of blowing up. And I think that's what gave it like that demented, distorted kind of sound. And Bill's drum heads hadn't been changed for about 2 years. And he used to play with half drumsticks because he couldn't afford drumsticks.
They detuned the guitar from the standard concert pitch down a semitone to make the guitar sound heavier. They played slowly. It therefore made the music more doom-laden. Their subject matter that they were singing about was no one had sung about that.
I think they just took the harder bits of music and they said, well, how do we make it harder still? And by doing that, they created their own musical direction.
If you think about it, and I've heard a lot of people say this, and it's true, like,